Welcome to Destination Linux, the Union Starship Orville of open source exploration, where every commit warps us through the galaxy of tech freedom. I'm your genius robot Isaac this week, Michael, steering this ragtag crew of Linux lovers with my marketing flair, ready to outmaneuver proprietary black holes. Jill is our commander, Kelly Grayson, sharp-witted, vintage PC collecting animation guru who can debug a compositor faster than she can negotiate a Creole peace treaty. Her creed, if it's not open source, then it's just a Mocklin divorce waiting to happen. Ryan is our Lieutenant Gordon Malloy, a cocky cybersecurity pilot hacking through firewalls with helm-rattling swagger and rewiring hardware faster than he can crash a shuttle into a plasma storm. He does a lot of crashing, that's true. This week's mission, we're diving into Vivaldi's bold stance on AI, exploring the latest System 76 Cosmic Desktop updates, checking out the next release of Linux Mint, helping a listener hunt for the perfect 32-bit Linux solution, and if that wasn't enough, we're also going to be beaming up more open source surprises from the Quantum Drive. So buckle up, sync your repos, and remember, in open source, we don't just explore the stars, we code them. Let's set course. This is Destination Linux.
This week in our community feedback, we have John who says, I'm a listener across the pond in the UK. I really enjoy listening to your show, including the entertaining banter between the three of you. I distro hopped before eventually settling on Budgie Atomic for my personal use, with the standard Fedora Linux on my wife's laptop, which I maintain for her. As an aside, Julie and I have a very vocal pet budgie named Minstrel, who is so loud he must be atomic powered. But that's another story. You should change the name to Michael, because our Michael's really loud.
I actually I'm a very low monotone type of speaker.
All of a sudden you start talking in a lower voice. Is so lame.
This is the normal way I speak. This is normal. I don't know.
Hey guys, I'm just super calm.
I'm just a very calm speaking person. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Can we let John get his information out?
Sure, let's do it.
Please? All right. Goes on to say, which distros that still have 32-bit support would you recommend for new users? The next IT project I'll be working on will be helping someone with their slow laptop. I have a Ventoy disk with a good selection of 64-bit distros, but I have a suspicion their laptop might be 32-bit. I'd like to prolong the life of their laptop, keeping it out of the landfill. Thank you for your great show, and may it long continue. With kind regards, John. What a nice email. You know?
It's beautiful.
It is a nice email.
Very good, John. So here's my recommendation, John. First, I'm going to give you my recommendation. Then you probably should ignore that and go with Jill, because Jill actually has hundreds of 32-bit computers. But I know that one of my favorite distros on the planet, which is MX Linux, because it's Debian-based, supports 32-bit. One of the reasons I love MX Linux is because of the fact that it has hardware acceleration drivers as well. It's called the hardware acceleration version or something like that. It's there.
I don't remember what the letters stand for, but it's AHS.
Yeah. So I love that they do that for Debian, and MX Linux makes you feel like you're not in Debian, but still in Debian, if that makes sense. Like it brings Debian into the future. It's beautiful menus, beautiful layout, great software options, up-to-date security out of the box. Like it's just a really good distro out there. And Dolphin, who we've had on the show before, is just a fantastic human being. So I highly recommend MX Linux. Now, how'd I do, Jill?
You did wonderful. In fact, one of my choices is Anti-X or Antix, which MX Linux is based off of. It's been around for years, and that distro is really great if you don't have very much memory, like 2 megs or lower. It would really benefit you there.
I can't remember what Antix uses. I think it's like IceWM or something like that.
Yeah, IceWM, exactly, Michael. In fact, I had used Anti-X to install on systems in third world countries with the Linux Chicks-LA did an install fest for students at a school in India and in Brazil. And so we had all these laptops, and they only had literally 2 to 4 megs of RAM in them. And Antix was great for those laptops. But
You mean
that
2 to
was really
4
awesome.
gigs of RAM or megabytes of RAM?
No, we're talking megs. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Well, I didn't even hear you say megs. I heard gigs because
Yeah.
just my brain couldn't have computed
Your
that.
brain retranslated?
Yeah, it just automatically translated it like Google Translate
Yeah. So
incorrectly, like Google Translate.
but yeah, we did upgrade the RAM in a lot of those laptops, but they came to us with very little. So,
That's crazy. Well,
so I
very
think
good
we ended
suggestion.
up putting 64 megs on them, or 256, and that of course made the operating system run a little bit better. So my other choices for 32-bit that I love, and I have so many 32-bit machines, and I have Peppermint OS on one. I have Bodhi Linux on another. I have Bunsen Labs Linux on another, and Linux Lite, and also Sparky Linux. So I've kind of gone through all the ones that offer 32-bit support. And Sparky Linux is actually a really good choice for new users coming to Linux on really old machines, because it's got a nice, very,
Spark
very,
to it.
yeah, it's got a spark to it, a good community, a nice welcome screen, tutorials, and all that. So, and these are all
Michael.
Debian based.
I facepalm my own dad joke on that one.
Yeah.
But Spark Linux is a really good distribution in that sense. They also have, for those who don't need 32-bit, they also have like a rolling release version you can get for 64-bit and all that sort of stuff. They do a lot of interesting stuff. And
sure
I
do.
think that I think it's kind of interesting that if you look at it, most of the suggestions that we have are Debian based. And that's just because Debian has 32-bit support forever. And I mean, probably will have it forever to some degree. But also, there are some other ones that are not necessarily beginner friendly type of things. So you could go as far back, like you go into Gen 2 and still get 32-bit if you wanted to, but it wouldn't be like the best experience. So for the beginner, because depending on who you're giving it to and if you're managing it, that sort of stuff, probably just stick with I feel like Antix and MX are solid options. Also, Bodhi Linux is a really good option, although I'm not sure if they have a recent up-to-date version because they're based on Ubuntu, but I'm not sure which their latest version is based on. I think it's 2204. I think
2204, I think, is the last one.
So it might not have a long-term support just yet. So if they update soon, hopefully that would be a more of a good option. But for the moment, MX Linux and Antix are very frequently updated in terms of the Debian base system, I guess.
Oh, and the other one that I love is Tiny Core in Linux, which is independent, and they're very low memory. In fact, if you only have like 2, 4, 8 megs, you can create a loop back, which is a memory swap on the hard drive if you don't have enough memory to run the OS, and that works really nicely.
Tiny Core is awesome, but it is a lot of setup.
Yeah, it is. It's not meant for the faint of heart.
Well, the good news is we've given you 86 options that you can choose from.
I feel like we gave 86 options, but I do feel like the best. I said the top 3.
We know, Michael. You already said it. It's MX Linux, and Arch Linux, and I agree with you.
Arch. I would definitely not put Arch in that list. I don't think Arch even supports 32-bit anymore.
Doesn't matter. You just run it anyway.
You run it anyway on a platform it doesn't support. A good solution.
Thank you.
But really, I would say that the top 3 is MX and Antix, and also Bunsen Labs.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, Bunsen Labs is fabulous.
Very good. Yes. Well, there you go, John, from across the pond, with your fake money over there in the UK. You got your 3 options. They can
buy they can buy a bunch of stuff with their Monopoly money.
Monopoly money. That's a long-term joke. If anybody's thinking we're serious, anyways,
it's a joke because we used to have Zeb on the show as a host. He is from that area.
Yeah.
Just go back and watch all the other shows. If you don't know the joke, shame on you. Go to destinationlinux.net/comments and confess you haven't watched all the shows. So we could shame you properly, or go to destinationlinux.net/forums and you can confess there. Or if you want, I guess you could send feedback and questions and things that would actually be useful and may get you on the show.
And you could just go watch all of it. It will only take you a year, but you could give it a shot.
That's how much content we've produced, Michael. It's kind of crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, not all of us on all of it. Mostly me.
I have been on everything since episode 53, I think. No, I missed one episode. I missed one.
That's when things went downhill, and then Jill came on and went right back up.
Oh.
You know? Yeah.
So it went downhill for years? Is that what you're saying?
Years. You know what never goes downhill? Sandfly, Michael. It's my favorite thing on this planet. Yes, thank you.
I like it.
As Linux users, we know what's up. Security is non-negotiable. But with threats getting smarter, your security tools need to keep pace without dragging your system down. Traditional agents, they'll slow you down. They'll leave blind spots. It's time for a smarter approach. That's why Destination Linux is proud to be sponsored by Sandfly Security, the revolutionary agentless platform designed for Linux. Go right now to destinationlinux.net/Sandfly and see how Sandfly can transform your security strategy. Timothy Lisko of DigitalOcean says Sandfly is one of the most exciting pieces of security tech I've seen recently. We're excited to not only be a customer, but also offer an integrated solution to our customers through DigitalOcean Marketplace. This technology addresses Linux security in a really novel and compelling way. It's kind of interesting. We had DigitalOcean. They sponsored our show for a while. Now we have Sandfly, and now Sandfly and DigitalOcean are together in the marketplace. I mean, it's like we brought them together. I feel like it's us.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of a gap in between the times, but I've totally. I think you're right. I feel like there's no other possibility.
Only the good stuff, though, we take credit for. None of the bad stuff.
Sandfly doesn't detecting is the good stuff.
Yeah. Sandfly doesn't just detect and respond. It revolutionizes security with SSH key tracking, password auditing, and drift detection, covering threats from every angle, whether your systems are in the cloud, on-premise, or in embedded devices. Sandfly ensures they're all secure without the headaches of agent-based solutions.
And if you want to get started, you can check out the free trial and see how it can affect your business and how it can basically just protect every type of system you want. And you don't have to worry about agents. You can just, even if you want to protect stuff like embedded devices that you really can't get agents on, you can still use Sandfly for that. So experience security that's not just effective, but gives you peace of mind, no agents, no downtime, just cutting edge protection. And of course, there's also the Home Lab edition, and you can get a discount by using the Destination 50 code, and you can get a 50% discount. So this is like the entire year. You get 50% off the entire year. 50%.
Wow.
Not
most
50
things
cents.
are like, oh, you get 10% off, 2% off. No, our listeners get 50% off. 50%.
Right, not 50 cent, 50%. This is very important.
Yes. Yeah. It's not 50 Cent the rapper, 50%.
I was about to say it's not in the club, but what you want, dive into the future of Linux security at destinationlinux.net/Sandfly. That's destinationlinux.net/SANDFLY and see how Sandfly can transform your security strategy.
So, I've mentioned on the show that I've been having an issue not feeling like I have a home when it comes to a browser. For a long period of time, it was very simple. You'd just be like, hey, my favorite browser is Firefox. I recommend everybody use Firefox. But I can't recommend Firefox anymore. They just made too many bad decisions over the last few years. And then, so recently I switched to Brave. And, there's some incredible privacy features there. I do not want to take away from Brave. They do some great things. But I don't agree with its ad policy system. And the fact that it demonetizes other people's content and puts its own ads in place of other people's ads in order to make money. And to me, that takes away from creators. And without creators, well, you don't have any of this content. So I think that's not a great system. I understand why they thought it might be a good system, but I don't think it is a good system. Plus all their Bitcoin stuff and other things, it's just kind of like, and I also hate their sync. The sync in Brave is not a great system. So when you're syncing browsers or, syncing your settings between browsers, basically you have it set a key and the key is like 50 words. And then you type those 50 words in to another browser, like let's say you're on your phone, you would type those 50 words in from your desktop browser to your phone, and then it would sync the stuff between it. And that's how it works instead of having any type of username or password type sync.
Is this meant to be so like they don't have an account? You can just have like this key to be able to bypass having accounts.
I guess.
But you're still putting the sync data
syncing
on their servers.
Yeah.
Why not just have an account? You know?
Yeah.
It just
It's
seems
not
kind of
like you couldn't trace it back.
I've heard reports that there are times where people, I think even you had this. Maybe
it happened to me where I typed in the words and I got somebody else's.
Yeah.
Now that was a long time ago. That was a few years ago, or maybe last year. I don't remember. But that happened to me. And to this day, I really hate the syncing words, because the other thing is, if you're going from like a desktop to a desktop and you create a new sync chain and you've got all these words, then you need to copy those words, because who wants to sit there and type them all manually to something secure? So that then you could go in and log into that other thing on the other thing, so that you can
still want to put it in the password manager.
Oh my gosh, it's just a lot. I don't like their sync. So anyways, it's good. I like a lot of things Brave does. I like Brave Search. I think the browser functions really well. Ultimately, it's a decent browser, but it still don't feel like home. That at the end of the day, that's what I'm getting at. It's a good browser, doesn't feel like home to me. And there are smaller browsers out there as well that we could talk about that have some cool features and stuff like that, but they don't scale across devices. So that's led me recently to Jill was like, we were having some issue. I was having some problem with the system, and Jill's like, use Vivaldi. And I was like, oh yeah, Vivaldi. And so I installed it again, and man, it's so cool. This is just a great browser. It's got so many awesome features, workspaces, and so many integrated tools and things in there, but it's not open source. That's a problem. Like, I love it, but it's not open source. Still, I like that they focus on privacy, although because it's not open source, I trust. We've had John on the show, the CEO of Vivaldi, super trustworthy, super awesome person. Trust them very much. But when it comes to privacy, one of the key things about open source is it allows you to audit to make sure that what they're saying they're doing, they are doing. And one day, John may turn the company over to someone else that's not as trustworthy. Who knows? I would hate that probably won't happen, but it could happen. And so that's why open source is so important, because then you wouldn't have to worry about, somebody doing something different with it that was scrupulous. John also recently took an interesting stance, and that's really the core of why I wanted to bring this news thing forward. Is I want to have a discussion about how great Vivaldi is, but they need to open source it, at least more portions of it.
Yeah, they have like 95%. That's what he said in our interview. 95% of it is open source, and there's a little bit that's not. I would like to see all of it, of course, but I do agree. Vivaldi is a fantastic browser. There's a lot of cool features.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
it has. What the craziest part is? I on occasion, probably once a month, maybe a little more frequent. If you go to the Reddit, the subreddits for Linux questions and stuff, and like Linux for noobs and stuff like that, people ask questions about like what's a good solution, like a good alternative email a client on Linux that is not Thunderbird. And they'll specifically say not Thunderbird because everybody recommends Thunderbird. And the funny part is that there's not a lot of options, but Vivaldi is one of them, and it never gets mentioned because there's a built-in mail client inside of the browser, and it is a pretty good browser. It's a pretty good email client. It's surprisingly good, and there's a bunch of other things that are built in.
RSS reader, really nice. Notes app.
Yeah,
I mean,
I like the Notes app. I use that a lot when I'm on Vivaldi.
Everything. Like, it's so well done, and because it's based on Chrome, you get all the Chrome extension options as well. So from an extension standpoint, and it doesn't use random words to sync your account. So that's a bonus.
It's that. And it has Proton built into it if you want it.
Oh, such a smart move. Yeah. Very cool, right? Very trustworthy VPN that I absolutely love. So in any case, so many reasons to love Vivaldi. One little thing I want them to change. Yeah. But in a community post on Vivaldi's website this week from the CEO, John, we get an article titled "Vivaldi Takes a Stand, Keep Browsing Human." It's really worth a read, so we'll have a link in the show notes. But the key points of this is that Vivaldi wants to prioritize active exploration. So they are taking a stance in rejecting AI features that they say promote passive consumption and reduce user curiosity. And then avoid generative AI to protect user privacy, prevent data collection, and maintain user autonomy over browsing. So if you have browsed in a search engine like Google or Bing or any of those nowadays, even DuckDuckGo, there is like an AI summary for what you search for. And what John is talking about here is that these AI embedded assistants in the searches and into the browsers and things essentially are giving you your answer without you having to do any exploration or looking any further. And the problem with that isn't that, oh, that is very convenient. I use it a lot, frankly. It's very helpful in a lot of cases to get a quick answer. But the problem is that essentially it gives all the power to Google and Microsoft to have control over access to information because they can control what it responds to. So if you are in a situation where maybe you're asking it something political, maybe you're asking it something where there's a lot of mixed opinions on it, you may get an answer that corporation wants to give you and not maybe the answer that you're directly looking for, right? They control the flow of information and what gets put there. And that is not only harmful to people, but it also harms all the publishers of information, because where does that AI content come from? Well, it's scanning all the work and blogs and posts and everything that everybody else has done that now no one will get any credit for when they're clicking through, and it's summarizing it up there. So it's taking all the work of the people who did the work, news articles, publishers, journalists, all of that stuff, and summarizing it right there, which is reducing clicks into those sites. And that's how they make money. And without it, those sites go away, essentially. So I think that John has a really good point here, like several good points of why this could be damaging. What are your thoughts?
Here's a quote on one of the Vivaldi blog posts. This is a different one than the one written by the CEO. And I found this just a really great quote about what Vivaldi is doing. This poster states, "It does not feel right to bundle any such solution in Vivaldi. There is enough misinformation going around to risk adding more to the pile. We will not use an LLM to add a chatbot, a summarization solution, or a suggestion engine to fill up forms for you until more rigorous ways to do these things are available." So I do understand, their point. They want to make, they want it to be more, broken in and more security. So
Yeah,
I do see that.
I agree with that one. Well, I want to get your opinion, Michael. What are your thoughts on this?
So I feel like there's the bigger thing about the AI integration is not necessarily is there some benefit to AI, because yes, there's benefit to AI. There's also some negatives, obviously, because everything has pros and cons, of course. But it's more of like, why? What's the point? What's the value of having AI integrated into these browsers when all of these tools are just web apps in the first place? You just go to them and you use them. Do I need it to be in my sidebar? Not really. Does that make it more convenient? Kind of no, because it means that it's like a smaller window and it's a little annoying. You have to zoom in to see what they're saying or like pop it out into something else to see what the response is. Well, it's just not necessarily the greatest experience anyway. So I kind of get why Vivaldi doesn't want to do it, partly because there's potential of negative information being spread, and there's also, or not negative, but misinformation being spread, and also just not being that helpful. But another thing about the whole AI summaries, there's a feature in Firefox now where you select something and then it endlessly pops up with this stupid summary, annoying thing. And every time I select it, it makes me infuriated, because if I select anything, it starts like, hey, do you want to summarize this? No, stop it. Just because I select does not mean I want AI every single time. And by the way, I've never used it. It's very annoying. So I just wanted to see how long it would take for me to get to it and be annoyed by it. It did not take very long. So I did turn it off. But it is something that I was thinking about. Like when Vivaldi announced this, it's like, yeah, why do we even need it in the first place? They're built-in websites. Like, you just go to the website if you want it.
I mean, it's the potential to save you lots of time when you have a simple question. Like, and I think that's where maybe it's the most useful. Like when you're doing, it's kind of like how in the browser you could do math equations, right? And it'll solve a math equation. Or you can even do translation. You don't have to go to a website to do that. You just type that in the URL and it'll do it, right? And so I think the same thing could be useful for AI. I think the problem that John has uncovered very well and the team at Vivaldi is that you're taking away from content, and you're taking away the joy of research and history, of being able to go out there and learn how to search for something properly. And a lot of people search with their own bias in mind. Like, they'll even type in the search engine exactly what they want the answer to be. Have you ever had an argument with someone and they're like, "Oh yeah, let me look it up," and they look it up in the exact context of
that they want
their
it to
belief
be
in
like,
it. All cups are green.
Why is this way?
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, there's that problem too. But AI, I think there is some very useful features in its summary. But here's the other thing that I started thinking about is that, there are browser wars, and then there's search engine wars. And the problem is search engines are also curated. And it's kind of a problem, but also a solution, because it's confusing. You want to see most relevant searches. It's going to show you when a search engine kicks in, it's going to show you the most relevant searches, but all of those, which is the answer, this is the good part, are curated to say these are the most relevant ones. But also, they can remove sites and things from that curation. So it's the solution and the problem that they may find offensive or deem that they don't want that to be the top result. And so you're getting the solution, and the problem is that you don't want a non-curated search engine, because then you just get a mess. And we've all talked about using search engines where the results you get back do not match what you're actually looking for, and you have to go to the 5th or 6th page to find the thing. So curated does help, but curated is also the problem, because it allows control of misinformation, or of information, period, whether it's misinformation or not. And so this isn't solved. What John's stance here actually isn't solved by anything Vivaldi's doing. And the only uncurated search engines, there's only a few of them that I'm actually aware of out there that state they're curated, but they're not filtered, is like Brave Search. And then there's like Mojeek, and then there's Cirx. And those ones claim that, yes, they curate to try to find you the best results, but they don't remove things out like Google search does, like Bing search does, and all of that. So it's kind of interesting to me on one of the points that AI summaries make things worse, but I would challenge John and the Vivaldi team that we never solved this on the old web either. At least the Vivaldi team hasn't specifically. And I would love to see them actually create a search engine as a part of Vivaldi that does solve this problem, because John clearly cares about this issue of misinformation, but search engines do provide that currently today, right? They provide a curated to decide what gets ranked and what doesn't get ranked, sometimes by pay and other things, but other things by political motivations, right? And they just may decide we're not going to rank that, even though it may be the most relevant result to what somebody was searching for. So anyways, that's another thought that I had regarding this. What do you think about that?
I think there's a lot of potential. I think that if they were to make their own search engine, and they're trying to solve this kind of a problem, I feel like that would be great. But also, there's always going to be some level of curation, and curation without filtering. Like, it kind of seems like that doesn't even work as like just a thought experiment, because it needs some kind of level of, in order to be curated, it needs to be filtered, and so I think that maybe there isn't
what you're filtering out and why you're filtering, and I think is the problem. Is like, we know there have been instances where things have been removed from search engines, not because it's not the most relevant, but because it doesn't fit a particular
Well, I mean,
companies.
there's going to be examples of that for sure, but I'm just saying, like, there's it also might have like legal backlash, you know? So I'm just thinking, like, if they were to create a search engine, and let's say a search query had a specific motivation to it that, you know, provided the most relevant search, but that result is illegal and in whatever country that company is based in. And if they were to remove it, would they be violating this whole concept of the curated but not filtered sort of thing? And I feel like there's so much stuff to balance there that it would be a very difficult thing to do. So if someone figured it out how to do it, that would be amazing. I'm not saying I'm against it.
Problem with creating roads,
you know,
that lead to a bank is that robbers could use the roads to rob the bank and then get away in a getaway car.
Mhm.
You know?
I'm saying is that there's laws that are trying to be pushed.
My point is, like, of course people can use that for nefarious purposes.
That's not what I'm saying.
Probably likely to get caught. And
I'm saying is like the filtering, how far does it go is what I'm saying. Like, how far do you take the no filtering versus curation versus that sort of stuff? I feel like it'd be great. And I think Vivaldi would be really good at doing something like this because they made a great browser. It's like I wish it was open source completely, but it's got a lot of awesome stuff in it. So if they were to make a search engine, I would imagine it would be really good as well. So I'm not anti that idea. I was just saying, like, I was just talking like a thought experiment of like how complicated it would be to do it right. That's why no one's got it right yet.
No matter what you do, there's always going to be people saying, well, my site, or why isn't this ranked number one, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
There's always going to be people who are going to think that there's still some type of, because you have to curate it. You don't want a search engine that doesn't provide you any relevancy at all to what you're searching for because you've done, no indexing and nothing like that. So
I think what we need to go back and just go back to when the internet worked, we're going to go back to the sections. Yes, 100%. I was going to AOL pages. I was 100% doing that. You got the little tiny little code at the bottom of the corner of the window.
So good.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Everything worked. GeoCities.
What the funny part is that AOL was curated and it was locked down because you had to get like permission to have an AOL page or whatever. And then that's where GeoCities and Angelfire took off. But I feel like we're trying to figure out a solution to a problem that has had so many people for decades try to figure out. Maybe Vivaldi can do it. I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, Vivaldi has the options right now: Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, Yelp, Ecosia, Quaint, Startpage, Wikipedia, and Google. I'd imagine they probably get some kickback to have some of these listed as in their search engine. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I just imagine that people might pay for something like that. If they don't, then they're just providing a nice list of options. I think the
default search, maybe whatever their default is. I think a lot of browsers have that.
And I'm just guessing. I have no clue if that's the case or not, but I know a lot of companies will pay for that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's fine. But there's really none of these search options here, minus DuckDuckGo, which is also curated, very heavily curated and filtered, but it's a very good search engine and very private, and I love it. Would be ones that I would probably Startpage probably is your next one on there. So you got two okay options, but both of those are curated and heavily filtered. Brave
Ecosia also has tree stuff. So
you save a tree every time you search or something like that, or they plant a tree. Anyways, my point to all this was there's a couple things. Number one, I think Vivaldi makes really good points and it's a good stance, but I think it's a stance that could have been taken earlier from the standard browser standpoint of misinformation from a search engine. And I hope Vivaldi could fix that.
Oh, I see. So I missed your entire point, apparently, because you're basically saying like, hey, the AI stance you have is also the same problem with browsers. So where's the solution for the search engine stuff too?
A certain amount of companies control what you see and what you get. Yeah. And so like that's the whole point. And I was terrible at explaining my point. So I'm glad we get to clarify at this point. Maybe everyone else finally knows what I mean.
Maybe I'm just not good at catching up what you're talking about.
It just didn't go out as well as I thought. But that's
currently
kind of
picking up what you're laying down.
Also, when it comes to the AI summary piece, I feel like Vivaldi may be kind of shooting itself in its own foot because I don't know. Like, I agree with what John's saying, but at the same time, convenience is the whole reason everyone's given up all of their privacy. Convenience is why not nobody, very few people in this world care that all their information is being taken and sold in marketplaces and then being stolen by hackers, and then their accounts get robbed, and then they get all these credit reports of people stealing or opening credit cards and lines of credit and all this stuff, and they still get on their phone and like, I don't care about my privacy, I just want the convenience, right? Convenience is what has made everyone give up all of their care for privacy. And this AI stuff is very convenient. And if Vivaldi doesn't have anything AI built in, I almost feel like, does that hurt Vivaldi's future more than it helps it? Because I get the idea. Everyone should be an explorer. Everyone goes out there and actually searches. And there is a small percentage of people who will believe that. But there's also a bunch of this new generation that's grown up with the answers being immediately given to them through an AI prompt. So I guess my challenge would be, is there a better way to do the AI stuff so that maybe it gives you part of the answer, but immediately links to the article that it's getting its information from, or something like that? I don't know the solution, but I feel like avoiding AI altogether isn't the best thing for Vivaldi either.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ryan, because I'm kind of stuck in the middle. I understand what he's talking about. Also, in regards to like what Firefox is doing with the AI in the tabs and bookmarks, and having issues with that, with it being bloated and taking up a lot of memory. But they're fixing those issues. But I think it's just Vivaldi just wants to completely keep out of that.
I respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect it, but I also fear for him from it. And, you can always still go to a search engine in Vivaldi and use AI. It's not like you can't use AI in Vivaldi. It's just they're not building it in all over the place on top of your browser.
I mean, if you wanted it in the side panel, they have that panel system where you can create your own thing and you can put whatever URL you want in a sidebar.
Yeah.
So if you wanted the same kind of thing like that, you could just do it.
Yeah, fair enough. I think we should have John back on to talk about this stance, because I think it's an interesting one. I would love to have a deeper discussion about search, curated results, and AI stuff. By the way, according to the AI overview summary, Vivaldi is 95% open source. It says that the Chromium portion is approximately 92% open source, the Vivaldi backend code approximately 3%, and Vivaldi UI approximately 5%. So maybe that's the closed source portion is 3% and 5%. It doesn't really say. You're right, John. These AI summaries are stupid.
Yeah, and also that's more than 100%. So it's 95, then 3, and then 5, then 2.
Yeah.
But the first number agrees with what you said, Michael. So we'll go with 95% of Vivaldi is open source, and mostly it's the UI stuff, I believe, during our interview.
Yeah, that's what
he mentioned was not fully open. So, only 5% to go, and we have the perfect browser because it is dang near perfect. Lots of awesome features. All right, Jill, speaking of awesome, System 76 Cosmic Desktop.
Yay. So System 76, the Denver, Colorado-based maker of pre-installed Linux laptops and desktops, has a major update for their in-house built Rust-based Linux desktop, Cosmic. Woo! Just like what it says. I got the Cosmic shirt, the pink one from Emma.
You're not a fan, are you, Jill?
Yeah. So this is actually very exciting. The initial setup for the Cosmic Desktop has been completed, moving it closer to a much more stable release. The setup includes a focus on accessibility, with the screen reader being on by default, and a screen magnifier that can be toggled on that zooms in on your cursor and follows it around. This is fantastic for those of us that have visual challenges when installing Linux distros. And this is also what System 76 has promised, that he's going to really be focusing on the accessibility. And Carl Rochelle, we love him for that. And the Linux community loves him for that. And speaking which, I had met Carl Rochelle, CEO and creator of System 76 at the Southern California Linux Expo Scale 22X this past March, and I had a great time helping him test user experience design for accessibility on the upcoming Rest-based Cosmic desktop, including improvements to the magnifier for screen zooming, which are now included. Yay! And also make sure to check out our awesome interview with Carl Rochelle on Destination Linux number 416. And that will be in our show notes, linked in our show notes. And also the Cosmic Desktop initial setup features automatic high resolution scaling. Wonderful. And you have the option to fine tune scaling and incrementally change the text size. And you can also choose from 6 preset themes, including Cosmic Dark, Cosmic Light, Comet Light, Cream Light, Mocha Dark, and Nebula Dark.
Yummy.
Ooh, I can't wait to see
What
this.
if you want white chocolate mocha
Yeah, I like that
and
one.
a half-calf cappuccino?
Or an ice shaken espresso.
Yeah, frappuccino. A creme frappuccino without coffee.
Or a
Why
pecan
would you want
crunch
that?
shaken oat milk shaken espresso.
Yeah.
I want coffee and everything. Love coffee.
Yeah. I like my vanilla cream frappuccinos without coffee. And my strawberry one.
Maybe the answer to being happy like Jill is to not drink coffee. That is one difference between Jill and the rest of the world. She's like one of the only other humans in the world that I know that doesn't drink coffee, and she's
That's
super happy.
true. That's true.
This
Okay,
could
wait a
be the
minute,
answer.
Ryan. The question is, do we try this?
No,
No, yeah, that's right.
I'm not that interested in being happy if I have to give up my coffee. You know, I'd rather be depressed and have my coffee than happy and not have coffee.
I mean, people say that you need blood in your body, but coffee, it's a close second.
It's a close second, yeah. For a lot of people, it definitely is.
I'll donate my blood, not my coffee.
With the Cosmic Desktop initial setup, you can customize the panel layout with either single or dual panel layouts, which helps users transitioning from Windows or Mac OS adapt more easily. And there are various workflow settings as well, including vertical or horizontal workspaces and window tiling. And windows can be set to either tile or float within each workspace.
Yeah. And you can also do tiling and then you can pull something out as a float if you want to. So you can have like a mix in a way. I think Cosmic is a really cool concept of a desktop. There's a lot of really good ideas. And I feel like there's a lot of potential for having a desktop that's a hybrid of tiling and floating styles.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of cool tiling window managers, and that's all they do.
100% agree.
And then there's a bunch of cool desktops that are not really tiling that much, but having a mix of the two is a really cool concept. So
I ran Cosmic for several weeks, maybe a month or two, but at least several weeks. And the alpha version. So, it's expected to have some bugs and different things there, but it barely had any bugs at all. It ran very flawlessly, even when I was gaming and things. There was one thing, though, that maybe a setting or something that I missed, but that really frustrated me. And that is, I have 2 monitors pushed together here. And what I like to do when I'm doing the show, because I'm in the middle of both monitors here in the camera, is have the one screen stretched across both screens for our recording software and the notes on the bottom stretched across both screens. And for whatever reason in Cosmic, I could not stretch across both screens. It would tile it into a corner of one of the screens, but it would not stretch across both. So again, it's alpha. I do not expect everything to work perfectly at all. However, I just want to make the request.
Yeah.
If that's not a setting that I missed, that you could fix that's something that would be really, really useful for it. But other than that, man, it was really, really solid, really well done. Very, very impressive. The work
that's an interesting use case because I've not thought about doing that because the bezels always would irritate me to I wouldn't want to have it split.
My bezels are so tiny on the BenQ monitor. It's like,
I mean, I have also a BenQ that's really tiny, but at the same time, it's still, I don't really. I also have like a vertical and a horizontal at the same time, so it wouldn't really work that way anyway. But it is an interesting workflow and use case because I feel like a lot of people do that but also not many people who are building this stuff are thinking about that being of something that somebody wants to do. So with the whole tiling focused work, the tiling grid system and all that sort of stuff is maybe causing like a conflict with that workflow. So I think it'd be interesting to see if they could solve that sort of thing.
Yeah, I have no doubt they could solve it, and that they will. It's such a great desktop. I really want it to come out of alpha and get into mainstream, but that's just me wishing my life away.
Yeah.
You know, wanting to get to wanting to play with some pretty new toys.
Yeah, wishful thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
At some point it's going to happen. We don't
They're
know
moving
when.
quick. They're doing very good.
Yeah.
I mean, considering where they started and how complex that they have to build, like they're trying to build a desktop, not an application, people, an entire desktop, which a desktop
From
environment.
Scratch.
Yes. So, and also it's Wayland based and it's Rust based. So they're having to create new tooling. They're having to create new structures, and they have to use like new compositing and all sorts of stuff.
This is
Wayland
why we're
is
the
very
only show
different
you
from
should
X
trust,
as well.
Michael. Here's why. There's a lot of people out there right now who are making content that are dogging on this, saying it's taking too long because they don't know what they're talking about. Like this is going super fast.
Yeah.
Now, what they may be referencing is like another desktop environment that's based on another desktop environment that got done really, really quick because it was based on something that was already built. But this is literally from dust. And we're making this beautiful desktop with all of the features in its alpha, by the way, that you would expect from a well-matured desktop environment that's been out for many, many years are already there and built in. Like there are just minor touches left, but they're perfectionists there. They want it right before they release it because they know the community is going to be digging in on this. But it was disappointing to already see like articles and YouTube content creators making things like, is Cosmic dead? Like, come on, grow up.
Yeah.
Grow up.
So it's basically the concept of like they're comparing it to other desktops, and all these other desktops have massive histories, massive legacies. You know, KDE Plasma has been around as the term plasma since 2008. And with the version between Plasma 4 to Plasma 5, there's a lot of work. And between 5 and 6, same thing, a lot of work. So this was, but also they already had an existing really good desktop you could use. Whereas Cosmic is building from scratch, you know, and like you were talking about a fork of a desktop, like Cinnamon, people talk about how Cinnamon is a great desktop. It is. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it is also a fork of GNOME. So they didn't have to build everything themselves from scratch. And basically Cosmic is doing this in a very short period of time. I think it's been 3 years since it first was discussed. And we had them on early in the show, or early in the process of making the project on the show. We interviewed them, and it's kind of like this topic is, you know, people are dismissing how much effort it is, especially considering they're starting with Wayland. They're having to build their own compositor. They're having to build their own set of applications to go along with it, because if you don't know, a desktop is not just the windows, it's not just the panels. A desktop environment includes applications as well to integrate with the whole process. So they have to do all these different things, and they're doing it in what, like, so far it's like 3 years. That is like super speed. You know, that's like Flash level speed when it comes to development of such a massive.
Me and Ryan both did
Savior
that.
of the universe. Sorry.
I was not setting that up, but I love that it happened.
Yes.
The other cool thing in the setup is it actually highlights the launcher as a primary tool for quick access to applications and features. And yeah, I know this is redundant for those that are, you know, of us that are Linux users. We know what all these things are, but this is really good for, again, someone coming from Windows or, you know, Mac OS. And this is what people are going to be seeing when they first turn on their System 76 laptops and desktops as well.
Did System 76 pay, Jill? Michael, because she wants to keep going through every feature. I felt like we were done, and then she's like, no. Let me take you back.
I thought we had a good stopping point right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like That is
And
an
Jill just wants
interesting.
to keep going as if she was
Yeah.
It was awesome.
She is wearing the cosmic shirt.
Uh-huh.
So
Yes.
Carl, you want to confess that you did some under the table negotiations with Jill here, or is she just that big of a super fan? That's the question.
Yeah.
But that Carl on to get the answer.
Yeah.
You can email us. We won't accept it. You could be a bot.
you have to come
Could be
back
fake.
onto the show
Be AI.
and
Yeah, we're
answer
gonna
this
have him
question
on
about,
again.
about
Yeah, we'll have him.
is she a super fan or is she someone that you picked?
Or
Aw.
super, or
I
super
feel like we
paid
know what
under
he's
the
gonna.
table.
I feel like we know what he's gonna say.
Well, what is cool is that you can test out Cosmic's initial setup.
And she goes
You
right
can
back to the features.
you can
Tell-
test it out by downloading it on the latest version of Pop OS's, which is what I did.
Jill, you are worse than Michael with KDE. For
Yeah.
goodness sake. Like, I get it. We like it. But
That is
come on.
awesome.
Do you know I have 3 machines, gaming rigs that I use Pop OS on? So
Right
All right,
back.
Jill. Jill, you
I
need to
love the
share.
commitment to this.
You need to share the bounty with the rest of
Okay.
us. Like whatever
Okay.
they paid, you need to share it. Like it's unbelievable, Michael. People were going around us and making deals with Jill. That's what I've learned today.
That is not okay, people. You have to give us money too, and we'll promote your stuff too.
They're like, no, we don't want you. We just want Jill.
So we recently received a comment on a really old episode of the show. First of all, thank you for watching the old episodes. But this comment was about Matrix. And for those who are not familiar with our stance on Matrix, not good. So that's I guess that's a
In Michael's opinion. In Michael's opinion, it's not good.
I was saying our stance is not good. I wasn't. Okay, I guess it is good because we don't like Matrix. At least I don't. And so in the previous situation where there's the comment they were talking about was an episode where we were talking about the various different open source communication tools, and they also pointed out that we were promoting Matrix at the time, and we were also talking about not using Discord. And then if you fast forward, then we now talk about Discord because that's where our community is.
We grew up.
And that's a fair point of like the comment.
It is fair.
Yeah, because we were.
How dare you point that out? But it's fair.
It is fair because we were talking about not using Discord, and then we need to use it. It makes sense that you would ask that question and that sort of thing. But it also is kind of funny because I couldn't remember what episode we talked about the Matrix issues we had, and I went back and searched through and found it. It was only like 7 months after we were talking about how great Matrix was. It was it was like the beginning of 2022, and then 7 months later. We had a massive problem, and it turned us off Matrix. And
it was beyond massive, honestly.
Yeah.
And but I get why this individual, this bone picker, is what we'll call him because you didn't give him a name. We'll call him Bone Picker. I get why Bone Picker decided to point this out because the natural place for us to be is Matrix Element. Like that's where we technically should be on paper. However, we were there. We paid for hosting. We had gotten locked out of our entire account during an attack and were unable to stop the attack from happening to all of our listeners. Our listeners expect that we try to keep moderation going in these rooms because we have a lot of young people who listen to our show. In just
teenagers,
different
kids,
people from all over different countries, all over the world. So we try to keep things, we try to stay off political topics. We try to do a lot of things to make it so everyone feels as welcome as possible. And these particular attacks were particularly heinous attacks. And so when you have no control over something that you're paying for and you get locked out of it, and then you get no support answers, no immediate support, it becomes a problem. And then really, we're just watching from the sidelines now as company after company after company starts reporting their same problems or similar problems that they have with Matrix. So yes, on paper, Matrix is great. And then you have things like today where millions of users couldn't even use it because it was down due to a database error that randomly happened. And it's not like things can't go down. It's just that there's a lot of problems that happen.
There's a
Matrix.
lot of problems.
And at the time, I'll say, I don't know what it's like today because I don't use it. But at the time we were using it, it was earlier on in Matrix's life cycle. So maybe things have gotten better. But based on the news articles, don't think so. Don't think they've gotten much better.
It's
but
still
I can't
clunky.
say it.
You haven't been using it. I still have because I've been interacting for people for different distributions and a lot of different like desktop projects are using Matrix as their main thing. And a lot of open source projects move to Matrix, and I get why they would, but it is very annoying and to use it in still for me. And it's not as bad as it was, but it is still pretty clunky. And the difference between using Matrix as a user and running a community in Matrix is very, very different.
And we're not talking community of 50 people. We're talking
thousands.
Tens of thousands of people is what we had in our Matrix room, which creates a much different problem. And then you've got all the bot activity and everything else. And is Discord a perfect privacy tool? No. We don't conduct private conversations in Discord. Me and Michael, everyone, we use Signal and things for that. Discord is just a place for our community to hang out and talk about Linux. If somebody wants to screen scrape people's random names in there, then how much we love Linux, it's fine. That's the whole point of Discord, is just to be.
Like, oh no, you know we love Linux.
Like,
you joined a channel about that. So.
And Discord has a very clear stance in their privacy policy about not selling user data. Now, it's not an open source tool. They obviously are incorporating more things to monetize and stuff. And there may be a point eventually where we're like, hey, let's open something else up. But for right now, Discord has been amazing to us. Number one, we don't have to pay the additional costs of hosting a server.
Yeah, we pay for like the nitro and the boosting of the servers and stuff, so we still pay something, but it is a fraction of what the Matrix stuff was. Because for those who are curious, yes, you can self-host, but if you self-host, you still have to pay for the servers, and these servers are not cheap to run the Synapse servers. Like the Synapse background stuff is not a small platform. It requires a significant server. And then you can also pay for their premium service, their hosted manage options, which is for the EMS or the Element Managed Services, or I think that's what it means. And they offer that. We were doing that part, which they have a minimum of 10 users. And I think it's like $100 per month at the base level. And then the more users you have, the more money it costs and that sort of stuff. So
thankfully, we had gotten a hold of Jill's credit card during this time, and we were just running the bill up. But once she cut the credit card off,
once she realized what we were doing, it did not work out. But really, there was a bunch of issues we had, and I think that we need to clarify like why we had the issue, because there's after the fact, I learned even more. And we didn't really talk about this stuff in the previous coverage of it, which was a few years ago when it happened. The situation now is that the moderation system in Matrix is so just clunky, and it's bare bones, basic minimum stuff of kicking people and maybe blocking people. But there's no stopping of someone creating the same account on a different server and then jumping in. It doesn't have like proper moderation. And there is a moderation tool that they created, but they stopped working on. They just abandoned it. And the third, like the community picked it up and started making making updates to it and improvements to it and that sort of stuff. But that's a very strong sign to me that if you abandon the idea of moderation, that does not sound good. At least, I mean, that's the way it was when we were dealing with this issue. Maybe they've picked it back up since then, but it was not a very good experience in my opinion. The biggest thing,
every time you upgraded, you had to recreate your rooms.
Yeah, there's no upgrade whatsoever. So here's the thing
back when we were using it.
So far, it feels like it's the same thing. But the way it works with Matrix / Element is that there's this server, and then it has a version, and then each room has a version. But because each room is copied onto every other server that joins the room, and I get why there'd be some kind of issues in terms of conflict about what version is what and that sort of stuff. But the room version system makes no sense to me. And it never made any sense because everybody who I talk to about this would always tell me something like, well, it's because it's a federated system. There's other servers that have to be connected. Like, well, why can't the main server it's on be the source of all truth. And if you don't have the latest version of the thing, it would only give you the features that are available to your version, not giving you a requirement of everything stays back forever. That just doesn't make sense to me. No one could give me a valid answer on that part. But here's what really happens. There's an upgrade system for the room version. And when you upgrade a room in Matrix, you're not actually upgrading. Like Ryan said, you are closing that room and making a new room, and then it automatically migrates things to the new room. Now, they also have a warning that says when you migrate, it doesn't necessarily guarantee everyone is going to be migrated properly. That just sounds like a terrible system to me. Like, that was done on
dealing
purpose.
with 5 people in a room, no big deal.
Yeah.
Dealing with thousands becomes a big problem. When you've got thousands of people suddenly getting kicked out of a room for no reason. But on top of that, Michael, maybe you're getting to it. We also found out, even though we were paying for our system to be essentially run by them, that we were on an out-of-date, insecure version.
Exactly.
4 months.
So here's what happened. So we found out, because we were early adopters, and that was our fault, apparently, being early adopters to the platform means we were using a particular version that had a bug. And that bug means that you will not, like, you have the possibility of your account being removed from the server or from the channel. So, like, let's say, for example, you build a channel on a particular server. Let's say you do it on matrix.org. And then let's say you create your own server based on your own brand, like we did. And we decided to move that room from the matrix.org server to the room on our server. And that works. Technically, it's possible. So all you do is you add an extra domain to it, and you connect it, and you say, this is the default primary and all that sort of stuff. And it works. And that's cool. I love that aspect of it. But then fast forward about a couple years, you run into this bug. It removes everything you did, every user that is associated to the new server. So all of your admins that are, and moderators that are on that server, like, you know, people who are part of the network, are removed because the entire server is removed. So everything reverts all the way back to the original version of this channel. So there was the name of it changed, the avatar was changed, like the access to everybody we couldn't even get into the room anymore. Like, we had to figure out what was going on, and we didn't know. And it turns out it's because that bug exists in that version of the rooms. They're like, why are there? We didn't even know there were room versions, because that's such a ridiculous concept. But also, the EMS people never told us this was a problem. Like, we're paying for this service. They could say, like, hey, you're using this version, you need to update. Then we would have known, but we didn't know this until it was too late and all this stuff happened. So for a week or two, we didn't even have administration powers on our own channel.
And what this creates is a situation where we have a very close relationship with our community and a lot of trust that we've built. Now imagine me and Michael are sitting there talking on the phone, somebody spamming these very nefarious things all through our channel, and people are replying going, I can't believe Destination Linux crew is allowing this in their chat room.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We couldn't stop it. We had tickets. We were trying everything we could to get a hold of these people that were managing the server to let us back in to the server we were kicked out of for a bug that they were managing but didn't manage. And yeah, so like there was no option but to leave that service at that point, because the harm
100%.
of allowing something like that to continue to our reputation and to our community it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
And also, like, their response to us when we asked about why you didn't update the room, they said that was on us to do. What's the point of a managed service if you're not managing it? That, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that part was weird, because they didn't tell us that we needed to do it, and they didn't do it, so it just didn't happen.
But anyway,
and then we ran
it
it
way over. The point of it is, I hope Matrix and Element the best future in the world, and I mean that. However, we had a really bad experience, and we're not the only ones who have. And therefore, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done there, and or hopefully there's a better solution that somebody creates that's open source that we can move to, that we can trust. But I'll tell you what, We won't be early adopters on it. We'll wait and see before we jump ship to that one. But
So,
you're
yeah.
absolutely right, Bone Picker. We did reverse course, but for a very good reason. We reverse course. And so far, Discord has been a great place for us to be able to stay in touch with our community for the things that we do. If we were having private conversations and stuff that we really wanted, then we would take it to a different place. Like
we wouldn't recommend it for private conversations and stuff like that. But Discord does what we wanted to do. It has the voice chats. It has the regular chats. It has what we needed to do.
And by the way,
we're doing it in the public in the first place.
At some point, Discord may turn to like some terrible service where they start doing ads and selling data, and we'll be off it and be moving to something else. So Bone Picker, you'll have another opportunity to get us then too, where we'll switch our stance because we're always looking out for you. Look at that. We're looking out for you, the community.
Exactly. But also, I like how every time you do that, your Batman symbol flashes.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It's trying to focus and it just focuses on the Batman symbol.
Anyway. Doughboy.
No.
Remember?
So I'm not doing that. So
come on, Michael.
No.
I knew you'd do
it. Eventually I'll give into the peer pressure, I guess.
Yes.
But anyway, like what we're saying, Matrix, we want it to be good. It currently isn't for what we need it to be. And if it works for you,
put it that way.
I mean, it's still not for me. But because I actually had an experience with the outage. I didn't know what was going on. I just saw that like it's not being delivered or whatever when I was trying to do stuff for work and it just wouldn't work. So I gave up and went to Discord and contacted them on Discord. And it was successful and I got the information I needed. So that sort of stuff is a bummer. And, but that's not necessarily, that's just like an outage happens, what it is. It
happened to any service. It's just, there's a lot of stuff there.
There's just many things that are added together to make it where we just don't feel like it is the best solution.
But maybe one day it will be the best and we'll go back to it. Like I don't hold grudges. It's just, we had a really bad experience. So you gotta understand it would take a lot for us to go take another look over there.
And also, I think it's important to one of the reasons I want to bring it up is because it's very important for looking about what you've said in the past, and also if there's any changes to it. I understand that, and it's a very valid question and that sort of stuff. But also the idea that you can't change your mind if you find a reason to change your mind. I feel like that is a flaw in how we associate to different like products and brands and all that sort of stuff. If there's something you didn't know and then you find it, it's okay to change your mind. And in fact, it's good. It's basically the scientific method,
Not anymore. You're not allowed anymore. Whatever you say now, we're with you forever, Michael.
It is written in stone. Is that what you're saying?
Good thing is we don't record anything we talk about, so it can never be used against us,
There's no evidence. It's not like we're literally talking about someone commenting from something 3 years ago. That would be ridiculous.
No, but by the way, to the commenter, appreciate you bringing that type of stuff up. I think it's important because there are times where we change our opinions and minds on things. And didn't they reply to us? Give us like a really good reply?
I gave a response about like basically the gist of what we were talking about here. And their response was, they were just interested in about like why we changed. It wasn't necessarily
why did you paint them to be a bad person, Michael?
I didn't.
That's unbelievable that you would sit there.
You called them bone picker, not me.
Oh. All right, Jill, what's our software pick this week?
Okay. So not all search engines are created equal. Since we actually just talked about Mojeek earlier and never spotlighted it on the show, now it's time to let this search engine shine. Mojeek is a search engine that operates like Google or Bing or Brave Search, but the difference is in their philosophy. Mojeek's focus is a search engine that does what's right, that values and respects your privacy while providing its own unique and unbiased search results. And it's 100% independent, and the searches come from a crawler, Mojeek bot, and an index of the web, and are ordered using their own ranking algorithms. The ranking of results are obtained using objective factors, thus ensuring information neutrality. This is not the case with Google and Bing, who rank results based on data that has collected or inferred about you. And you can set Mojeek as your default search engine in your browser by just going to mojeek.com.
Right
It's
now,
great.
Vivaldi's my home browser. If everybody wasn't clear, that's what I'm going to be using.
Oh, really?
And I set Mojeek up as my
Yeah.
search engine there, and it's very, very good. It's very interesting what they say here about, because we didn't get into this in the discussion earlier regarding the search engine results when we were talking about Vivaldi, that Google and Bing also give you results based on what they have inferred about you, as mentioned here. So not only could Michael search for something, he might get something completely different than what I get when I search for that exact same thing, because it is trying to tailor not only its ads, but also what it's learned about you to what it thinks you want to see. And that creates a really bad situation where people are essentially stuck in their own vacuum of thoughts that the search engine has, built upon them. And if you've ever changed your opinion or thoughts, it doesn't care. It's still going to feed you what it thinks you're going to want to see. And that kind of creates its own little bubble, right? Thought bubble, where it's like, I'm not going to accept any new information. It's only this one piece
I remember
of information.
the wonderful days of search engines when you search for something and someone was like asking you for help, and you could search for something and then have the exact same results that you have that they have and tell them where to go to get it. And just say, hey, search for this, and then scroll down to the third option or something like that. And it would be the same for everybody. Now that's impossible. And it's so annoying because you can't say, hey, just search for this, because it doesn't mean that you're actually going to get the answer they want.
Yep. It's kind of crazy. So I don't know how. I've just started using Mojeek. I haven't followed the money trail with them yet to figure out exactly how they're making money, which would be the interesting part, because I always say follow the money trail. But I like their philosophy. I like the general principle. I like the unfilteredness of theirs. But there's always, what kind of struck me as a little bit is like when they say our unbiased ranking system, like there's always some bias in everything, right? You can't have a perfect ranking system.
Yeah, you can be purposely trying to be unbiased, but just you have a bias automatically by like having an opinion of how something
what's
should be
biased
done.
And what's not biased, right?
Yeah,
because there's nothing going to be perfect. But I like what they're going for. I like the idea. Check it out. Check out Brave Search. It's also a really good one that does a lot of unfiltered stuff too.
Start Page is pretty good too. DuckDuckGo pretty good too.
I love DuckDuckGo, but DuckDuckGo is curated pretty heavily because they use a lot of Bing stuff and things in there.
That's true, but I also like how Duck AI gives you the benefits of like AI stuff, whether it's private. I like that.
True. I mean, look, I'm a big DDG fan. I'm down with the DDG. So
DG, that's right.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good options. And in terms of like the following the money, we'll let you know in the future if we find some more information about it. But
where we find their money.
I mean, if you follow the money trail, is what you're talking about. Not find their money. No. I mean, maybe. I was talking about just like the typical, very common phrase that people say: "Mo money, Mojeek."
Oh my gosh, Michael. That's it. Big thank you to each and every one of you for watching us, supporting, listening. However you do it, we love your faces. Come join us in our Discord. And on our Discord this week, the topic is, we're so sorry, Wendy, that we have an hour and a half show of mistakes and bloopers from Jill and Michael because Ryan was once again perfect. You can talk about that in our Discord by going to tuxdigital.com/Discord. That's our topic of the week this week.
Actually, our topic of the week this week is that she's probably okay with the fact that there is less show this week than the full edited version is like 10 minutes longer than the one that this one is.
I think she'd be happy if we stopped at 54 minutes or 55 minutes or exactly an hour like we're supposed to, instead of going to an hour and 25 minutes. She probably is thinking right now, why are they still talking, adding more minutes to the
Wendy,
already long show?
Right now, if you can, let us know what you think about what would be the best timing for the show.
Should we stop or continue, Wendy?
Should we keep talking?
Please stop.
From our patron room, Wendy begs us to stop. Michael, how can people support the show?
If you want to support the show, you go to tuxdigital.com/membership and you can become a patron, and you can join us with Wendy and so many other people who are joining us right now to watch it live. And even if you can't watch it live, you also get other perks like unedited episodes of the show where you can see the whole thing.
You really want an unedited version because it's It's a hot mess, y'all.
fire.
There's a lot of extra content. It's not a hot mess. That suggests that you're not getting value. You're getting a lot of value.
There's a lot of tea in this episode. If you become a patron and watch the unedited version, you're gonna get so much tea on Michael. He reveals so much shocking information.
Shocking, and you won't believe number 6. Mm-hmm. And you can go to tuxters.com/membership to get all this and more. Plus, go check out the store. We have tuxters.com/store. There's a bunch of cool merch. We have hats, mugs, hoodies, t-shirts, and so much more, except for nothing Ryan picks up. We have tons of stuff in there. So go check it out, tuxters.com/store.
And make sure to check out all the cool shows here on Tux Digital. That's right. We have an awesome network of shows to fill your whole week with geeky goodness. Head to tuxdigital.com to keep those Linux penguins marching.
Everybody have a great week. And remember, the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
I feel like you failed on that because I gave you Orville as your opening, right? I gave you this great Orville opening, which you love Orville. I'm not a huge Orville.
You have to tie it in.
You are. And you didn't end with anything Orville, which is lame because I gave you an opener that you should be very thankful for. You should be like, thank you, Ryan. You're the greatest. Like, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. No, you wrote it on the weekend when, you barely get any rest. But I really appreciate you thinking of me. And I'm like, okay.
Fine. You're right. Everybody have a great week. And remember, the great wise words of Avis. The journey itself is just as important as the destination.
Avis, the car rental company?
No.
Avis, the god from the Creel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't watch the show. So
what?
We got
finger at me. Don't you point your finger at me, Michael.
Wait. You can't yell at me for not watching.
That was aggressive.
You
Dad, Ryan.
You give me so much. You give me so much for not watching certain things, and you're talking. You actually put this on the show, and you haven't seen
it. Like you haven't seen Lord of the Rings. This is like the Bible of the
Orville.
Geeks.
I can't.
And you're talking about Orville, a comedy Star Trek. Like that is not
dude.
The same.
No. It's a tribute to Star Trek. It is. It is also comedy, but it's a tribute. It is. If you compare it, here's the thing: if you like Star Trek and you are disgusted by Discovery, Orville is like an actual Star Trek. But
I love
good.
Strange New Worlds. So.
Well, I mean, Strange New World is like they kind of fixed their stupid, but it's still not great. It's good.
It is great.
It's
but it's
good.
Not as good as the others, the originals for sure.
Yeah,
sure. I'll give you
great.
that.
It's
better. It's better than they did any other part of their stuff.
True.
But Discovery is a travesty, and the Orville is actually completely unique. But it also feels like Star Trek. They even put effort into making the bridge have like the same lighting and the same kind of vibe. It is very good. I highly recommend Orville.
Wait, is Wendy still having to edit all this crap?
Is this part of the show?
I mean, technically she has to download this extra crap and then like remove it,
Sorry, Wendy. All right, we're going to end it right here. So maybe this is in the show. Maybe it isn't.
Wait, but Michael, what was number 6?
You'll have to become a patron to find out, Ryan.